Kicked off Mental Health Awareness Week yesterday. Such a great time. I mean, we should always be aware of our mental well-being, but when you've got a week in front of you, you can really embrace it. And today is day 2. And we thought we'd get somebody in from the Mental Health Foundation, somebody who knows maybe a little bit more than us, to share some good news with you. So we welcome the Senior Media Advisor for the Mental Health Foundation, Mr. Mark Wilson, who joins us this morning. Kia ora, Mark.
Kia ora. Thank you very much for having me.
You are totally, no, it's the pleasure is all ours, our friend. So I guess you would be the one who spearheaded the theming around Mental Health Awareness Week, right? Because every year you sort of have a theme, and this morning's around community. Can you talk to that?
Yes, sure. It's 31st year of Mental Health Awareness Week, actually. And this
Oh,
year,
wow.
we undertook some research earlier this year with people most affected by Cyclone Gabriel and the weather conditions, and to check in on their well-being. And the overwhelming thing they all said was the power of community and how community helped them get together through that really difficult time. So we thought, well, this makes sense to all New Zealanders, so let's make that our theme this year, and it's really important that people think about how they define their own community. It doesn't mean, it can mean anything. Community can be a group of guys on a bike on a Sunday, going for a bike ride, then having a coffee afterward. It's that being together with people, like-minded people that make you feel good, and that's a really important thing too. You get something out of it, that positive thing out of being together with a group of people that provides you the well-being that you need to uplift your general.
I don't think you can
mental well-being.
you can take care of your own well-being without community.
No, it's 100%.
Yeah.
That's the correct answer. You should go work in mental health because it's not something. Because
you can have him.
Yeah.
Take him with you. I'll finish the
like
show.
you seem like a good
He
guy.
doesn't want me.
No, because we also found that sort of 4 out of 10 people said in the previous 2 weeks that they'd felt lonely. And you go, loneliness is becoming more of an issue in our modern world as people live alone. They become disconnected from their community or from their whānau, from just life in general. And that's really sad to think that people out there, and we know that if you feel lonely, your well-being is going to sort of tumble as well. So you're more likely to find yourself in that deficit mode of your mental health.
Yeah, you said it's the 31st year of Mental Health Awareness Week. I don't assume you've been at the Mental Health Foundation for all of those 31 years.
Not
but
quite.
Over your time there, what have you noticed in terms of attitudes changing, or maybe people's willingness to speak about mental health over the time you've been there?
Yeah, I've been there 5 years, and it's actually coming up 6. It's every year people become more confident in putting their hand up, as well as people, and this is important too, reaching out to others, just checking in on your mate. It's a simple thing, because generally you will notice a behavioural change in somebody if they're not doing too well. You can say, bro, what's going on, and how can I help? I've noticed a change in your mood, behaviour, whatever it is, and then from there you can begin the process of perhaps understanding what's going on in their life. And it doesn't mean that you have to fix it. It means that you've showing that you are caring for that person, you're going to help guide them to the right person, whether it's going to the doctor, calling 1737 or a helpline of some sort where they can get access to some professional help. But you, as a friend, as somebody, like workmate, you can see this, and we hear this all the time, that you get to see the behaviour changes, and people go, oh, I don't know what to do about that. It's quite simple. You can ask what's going on.
Very good.
And also, can I put a plug in for Mental Health Foundation? We have loads of free resources that can help guide you. So if you're thinking about doing this, jump onto mentalhealth.org.nz, go to a resource library, and you'll get to see all the stuff. You can print it out, you can flip through it and go, okay, that's a good starter question that I can ask somebody,
It's a very good website for all those resources, so we encourage you to jump in there. So would you say that New Zealanders, have we done a good job, an average job, or a great job at destigmatising mental wellness?
We are doing a pretty good job. If you look at us globally, I think we are like any other similar country. We're grappling with a world and a society that is mental health is struggling. It's everywhere. If you go to any country like ours, you'll see the same issues are being talked about and discussed, but there is a far greater openness to willingness to speak about your poor mental health or a mental illness. So I think that's been the brilliant thing of campaigns that went before us. The Like Minds campaign, John Kerwin did an amazing job at destigmatizing mental health. And there's so much goes on with that. And people are worried about going to work and saying that they've got depression or something, and they might not be able to get a promotion. They might not be able to do, get another job. If you've had to take time off for your mental health and you're going for a new job, and the employer says, well, how come you took that time off? It's hard to be honest about that stuff when you should be able to be honest. Like our chief executive talks very openly about living with bipolar and how that has impacted him. And for a long time, he didn't talk about that. And having worked at MHF, he now gets the importance of sharing his story to normalise this experience. We all have mental health.
Yep.
Every single one of us have mental health. And sometimes it's really good, we're all pumped and life's going well, and other times not so much. But we know that with support, you can get through. Most people do get through, and they work and develop, and they develop strategies to help them with their life, and that involves a community, involves family and friends, involves possibly a bit of professional support, and but it's developing good strategies for life as well. And it's not just onus isn't just on that person with that illness, it's on all of us to support them.
I guess the hard thing, like when you talked about your boss, was it, who has bipolar disorder, people suffering from something like that or have something going on, deciding who and where they want to share that and who they feel safe or comfortable speaking about those things with. And obviously that's not everyone.
Yep.
It's not every environment where you feel, yep, I want to totally be an open book about where I'm at. That's a hard thing for people to navigate, right? Like whether, is this a person that I trust, or is this an environment where I even want to bring this up, or would I rather it's just not really
it's
a
not
thing
like
here?
It's not like I'm going to say every day, hi, my name's Mark, I've got bipolar disorder. It's about that trust is a really key thing, and if you're in a workplace and you're working 40 hours a week somewhere and you've been there for a number of years, you would like to think that that workplace supports you, all of you, no matter what you are. You're doing your job well. There's no issues with your performance. But that's what you live with. That's who you are. And sometimes you might need a bit of time out. You might need to work from home. You might find this part of the job a bit tricky. But that's about negotiating and navigating with an employer to work around that condition.
Right.
So I think it's certainly become a lot better at workplaces. It's become a lot better at that. But we hear a lot from people saying it's really, really tough when they live with a mental illness and getting work and having people understand them.
This is a message for those who are the employers or maybe even the bosses to be aware of what you just spoke about, Mark, and you too, Bjorn. You haven't mentioned the word vulnerability in this chat, but we know that's very, very prevalent, and it's very important when you're discussing mental well-being. And I'm a big fan of Brené Brown. She's an American psychologist, and one of my favorite quotes from her is around vulnerability, and it's she says, vulnerability is the last thing I want you to see in me, but the first thing I look for in you. So unless you bring your curtain down as the person, as maybe your boss or somebody who's in charge, bring the curtain down and show a little bit of vulnerability, it's very hard for the person receiving that to also open up. So I think it's really important, a little message for the employers out there to be able to take that on. My last question for you before we end up this part of our chat is, how do you guys at the Mental Health Foundation, how do you measure success of Mental Health Awareness Week?
That's always a complex one, but I think it's about the ongoing discussion that we hear throughout the country of people being more open and accepting toward others that do have mental health issues. So, so I think that's probably it. It's about an education program, and we do survey people who participated, so we get a sense of how much they're going to take on from this, about the importance of doing little actions in their community, and are they going to follow through with those throughout the year? This is a 1 week out of a 52-week year, so it's about reminding people to check in on their own and others' well-being. So I think that's the most important thing, the most important outcome.
Well said, Mark. Stick around because we want to just catch up with you quickly. You're also a member of the Mental Health Foundation Suicide Bereavement Advisory Group, and we just want to tap into what you know about that and how you can help people dealing with that. Kia ora, good morning. It's 8.5 minutes away from 8 o'clock. In studio with us is the Senior Media Advisor for the Mental Health Foundation, Mark Wilson. Thanks again, Mark, for joining us. You wear two hats. One of them you've already talked about around the generically around Mental Health Awareness Week, but you're also a member of the Mental Health Foundation Suicide Bereavement Advisory Group. Now, just a heads up that the topic we're going to be talking about now is around suicide. It's an important topic that we need to deal with and wrap around people who may be dealing with family members or people that they know who might be going through this at the moment. So, Mark, your role on this advisory group, what does it look like?
Well, it's an amazing group of about 12 New Zealanders from all over the country who have been impacted by suicide bereavement, and we get together sort of quarterly to look at developing resources and how we can influence policy about well-being for people bereaved by suicide. And it's just an amazing group of talented people who've had this awful life experience of loss by suicide. Like I did, I lost my wife 18 years ago to suicide, and it's absolutely is a life changer. But I'd like to say to people that there is hope, there is a future, there's a future without your loved one, but I have a continuing bond with my wife Zita, who I'm remarried and I've got a young family and it's amazing, but a day doesn't go by that I don't think about Zita and the influence she had on my life, and it's about that legacy that continues. It's hard though, it's a really hard thing, and I run a peer support group in Auckland called Solace, which is open to anyone. And we're a group of people who are all bereaved by suicide. I facilitate the meetings, and it's just amazing seeing people grow and flourish and develop and re-begin, I guess, their life after such a horrendous tragedy. So it can happen. It's hard work, but it can happen.
We have some pretty terrible rates of this throughout New Zealand. Which, we've known for a very long time. So I imagine a lot of people listening are connected to this in some way, whether in their own immediate family or a friend or a colleague or someone they knew. For people that are pretty early on in the loss, like, you said you lost your wife 18 years ago. Does the pain become less over time? I know that obviously the memory of the person is never going to leave you, right? And that going through that is an ongoing thing forever. But that pain in your heart for you, is that, how do you deal with that?
It's totally different than it was 18 years ago or a year ago even, but it doesn't take much to kind of be taken back to that time, or there'll be something out there, there'll be a song, there'll be a place, there'll be a moment that'll take you back. But I find that healthy and healing, and just like, that was an important time in my life. So, and I think it's quite a different thing for a parent who's lost a child. Really difficult. But I think for me, I've begun to realise those are good, healthy things, those memories, that human response, because we have joy and happiness, a counterbalance that sorrow and tears, laughter and tears coexist. So that's part of loving somebody, I think, is that having those good memories as well as the sad memories as well. And I think we need to embrace all of that. And it's really hard when you're just in the midst of those early days and weeks and months of a loss in such a way, trying to make sense of something that doesn't have much sense.
Yeah, and it's all right for it not to make sense. I've been down that road as well. And for what it's worth, when I lost a very, very close friend of mine, I was in a hurry to fix the world. I just wanted to do that. I just wanted no one else to be in the pain. And I think
advocacy becomes a really strong thing for people following that, because they don't want anyone else to go through that. You just do not want anyone else to suffer what you do. But I think back to those stats just quickly, New Zealand sits in the middle of the OECD where we're not the highest, but we're not the lowest either. Look at across to Australia and the US and the UK, it's absolutely is a global issue. It really is.
Before we cut you loose, because we're running out of time, Mark, there's a great website that you wanted to mention to people and some support lines.
Yeah, definitely. Aoaki Tara is an awesome service.
How do you spell that?
AOAKETERA.
We'll get those details too as well.
And Aoaki Tara, awesome service. It's free counselling up to 6 sessions for individuals who've been bereaved by suicide. Doesn't matter who that person is to you, how long ago that loss was, but you can access that. It's just the most brilliant service. And these are people who are trained in suicide loss and bereavement. They get it. Some of them might have a lived experience, but they certainly understand the complexities of suicide bereavement. So definitely try and access that, and it's a game changer. Obviously, 1737, if you're just feeling like you need to speak to somebody, because it can make you really wobbly. It can really make you wobbly. Friends, if you know somebody that has who's recently lost somebody to suicide, connect with them. Keep connecting with them. Don't stop after 2 months. Keep connecting, and that's so important. I've got some buddies who always check in on me, and I just think that's just the most incredible thing to have happened, because from so many people, people's lives go on, but your life is still in that moment. So you need to be able to connect it, and it's hard work going out and going for a walk with people or having a coffee because all you want to do is cry, but that's okay. That's normal.
Mark, we appreciate your time this morning. Thank you for coming in and speaking to what you've just spoken about. If you do need those services, let us know and we'll be more than happy to give them back to you. That's Mark Wilson from the Mental Health Foundation.